Hey, what's up? We're Nerd Report here at Comikaze 2014. With me is Jonathan. What was your last name, Jonathan?
Bethune.
Bethune.
Yes. Bethune, sorry.
Bethune. How do you spell that?
B-E-T-H-U-N-E.
Bethune. Wow, that's
Bethune,
a
yeah.
pretty interesting name.
It's French.
It's French.
Yeah.
That's cool. Are you from Louisiana? Over there?
No, not at all. I was
Okay.
born in Canada, but my family's from Jamaica.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we're here and we're talking with John specifically about his engine, right? It's an engine, I would say?
It's a software tool.
I would say tool. Yeah, tool would be probably the best. It's called Otrera.
Yes.
And like the first time I saw it, I thought Otrera. And
Yes.
what's funny is that Otrera actually means something in Japanese, which relates to what the product does. And that what is it?
I don't know how much it relates to what the product does. Otrera is the Japanese word for temple. I
thought you meant template. When I asked before, I was
temple. Otrera is temple. I lived in Japan for 3 years, so if you want to do the interview in Japanese, I'm down.
Oh no, I can't do that.
I think that's cool, though. It's a cool name for something, Otrera, but it's actually Otrera, which is the name of a mythological Amazon queen, the daughter of Ares and Harmonia.
Okay, so what does this software tool do? Like I talked to Jonathan before the interview, and I got a lot of good information off of here. Otrera, I want you to describe what it does, and I want to hear it from your mouth because it doesn't seem like something that would be, that you would commonly see, but it's something that if you're a game designer, you need. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange blind spot in the industry that this product doesn't already exist. That's what blew my mind. I was trying to make my own tabletop RPG for Kickstarter, and I was looking around for this exact product. It doesn't exist, so I decided to make it myself. And what Otrera is a general-purpose game design tool, kind of like how Final Draft is software you use to make screenplays. Otrera is software you use to make games. So it lets you put together all of the general rules and content and items to describe your game. It will analyze and look for statistical imbalances. You have a number of templates for video games, board games, card games, tabletop RPGs. It makes it so that you don't need to do play testing, and it outputs a very attractive game manual or web page that you can patent and share with people.
That's really amazing. I mean, like when you have something like this, you can really. I mean, your tool actually caters to a very specific, but it can be wider range, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like early on in our sort of talking to the community marketing process, we talked to game developers, people who are already making game developers, and they were excited about the project. They were skeptical too, but they were excited to find a tool that would do a lot of the play testing work for them. Because that's really the hard part about developing a game. When you're a big company like Wizards of the Coast or Paizo, you have thousands of people who will play test your stuff for free. When you're an amateur game designer, you have no one who will do that. You're begging people in Reddit threads to play your game. This software makes it so that you can do all that testing yourself on a computer. And so the hardcore game developer community, they were excited about it, but really the people more excited about it were sort of amateur game designers, artists, writers, musicians, people who sort of casually like games and have ideas, but can't program, have no way of doing anything with that idea. That's who we're catering to.
Now, someone that's trying to create a game like a Pathfinder or an RPG with a D20 element or any kind of like that, I know you got to have some kind of testing because you can't accommodate for the human element.
Of course. It's very easy for those games to be broken. It's very easy for a certain build or a certain class to have outliers, have statistical anomalies, to be slightly more powerful at level 20 or whatever. In order to catch those things, all you need is to describe your game using things that a computer can understand. Numbers. As long as you're using dice rolls and integers and things like that to describe attacks or classes or level progressions, then our program will identify things that are out of balance or that are anomalous or weird in some way. So it's a very, very powerful tool. It's sort of a wet dream tool for any amateur game designer who doesn't know where to start.
So I gotta ask this question because this question kind of like lends itself to how did you test this software?
That's a great question. So we did two big things. One, I made my own game using this software. It's not released yet, but I made my own classical mythology RPG using this and played it with some of my friends and found that I was able to identify statistical anomalies with the game in 2 seconds that took months of playtesting.
Wow. So you actually did it both. You did both
yes,
like playtesting
live
and
used our software.
Wow.
And we found that this software could potentially save developers months, if not years of time. The second thing we did, you'll notice the games here on the counter, is we spent months encoding popular RPGs like Pathfinder and Shadowrun into our software format.
Yeah.
And from that, we're able to change little rules or tweak things and prove that the games are statistically sound and balanced. So we're kind of getting it coming and going both ways. We can see that our software works. Now, to be for full disclosure, the software is not released yet.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit,
Yeah,
the Kickstarter campaign. We are still testing it.
That's really cool. I mean, just the idea. I mean, it's obviously not an idea for everybody in the industry because they're either a player and then there's designers and there's players. Like
Sure.
you can't be. Well, you can be both.
Of course.
But some people just like to be players. Like,
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
fine.
mean?
But there's complaints among the community, among players, that games today are very derivative. There's a lot of copying and pasting.
Oh, yeah,
Every other
absolutely.
game is a sequel, number 4 or 5. Part of the reason for that is that games are very hard to develop. They're very expensive. And it's the same big companies and firms making games. What we want to do is expand the number of people making games. We want to democratize it and have a lot of new voices come into the gaming industry and community so that we can see some really original ideas, things that wouldn't be made otherwise but for better tooling and better software.
Absolutely. So, what are you yourself obviously are a gamer, right?
Of course.
What kind of games are you particular towards?
I play everything. I play fighting games. I play racing and sports games. I think my favorite are RPGs. I like Western RPGs. I've spent way many hours than I care to admit customizing Skyrim, modding it on Steam, and writing my own mods for it. So I'm a big fan of that. I like Japanese RPGs. As I said, I lived in Japan for a long time.
Gotcha.
I used to be a reviewer. I had the first English language review of Final Fantasy 13.
Nice.
So I play a little bit of everything, and I also like tabletop and pen and paper card games. So I think that broad experience helped me to make this software.
Absolutely. I'm a very big card game fan. Like
I
love card games, and I delve into board game. Card games are simple.
You play
and
Magic
quick.
at all, or
Actually, I'm more into like the Fantasy Flight, like living card games.
Oh, cool.
So I'm very much into and I'm any kind of other like alternative, like non-collectible like stuff.
Yeah.
Like because Magic, Magic, and that's pretty much Magic.
Of course,
right?
of course.
And
it's its own
everything else
thing.
is much of minutia
Yes,
of like knowing
yes.
like different rules and stuff.
But this is why I like Kickstarter, because there's a lot of unique things coming out of the Kickstarter crowd now.
Absolutely.
And they're getting funded. People doing relatively small goals, 5,000, 10,000, and you're getting all these new interesting games.
And some of these are actually they're out of the box.
Yeah, out of the box. They're well
they're out
packaged.
there.
You have sites like the Game Crafter that do a lot of the packaging for you. They're really good. And so what we think is probably the first big target for our software is the Kickstarter community. People who want to make games and release stuff on Kickstarter. Our software can save you months and months of time and work.
So how was your program doing on Kickstarter as of that?
So we just released it about a week ago. We have a $90,000 funding goal. We raised $31,000 in the first week. Which
wow.
That's
actually really solid.
Yeah, that's solid. We have another month and 7 days. We have until the end of November to reach our goal. We're here promoting because our momentum has stalled a bit. We had a number of really big donations early from other programmers, $5,000, $2,000, big donations. But our backer count is pretty low. So what we really, really want is for people to go to Kickstarter, search for Otrera, O-T-R-E-R-A, and just pledge $1. Even if it's $1, it'll help us increase our backer count and get more people looking at our project.
So if this thing were to go retail,
yes,
what would be like an MSRP or something like
that?
Sure.
So if you purchase through the Kickstarter, you'll get a number of rewards. It's much cheaper. We have stretch goals to release a mobile app version, a desktop app, so you don't have to use it through the web if you don't want to. But if we don't reach those stretch goals, or at least to start, it's going to be a web app. All you need is a browser. You can use it on any platform. And it's a subscription model. So if you only want to use it for a month, it's $25. 3 months is $50. 6 months is $75. A year is $100. And unlimited forever is $200.
Oh.
And that pricing we think is competitive. It's in line with other Microsoft software programs like Final Draft, which are between $100 and $300 retail. Considering the amount of work it can save you, we think it's absolutely a very competitive price.
How big is this program, like as far as storage is concerned?
Storage just takes up no storage because it's a web application. Okay. When you actually download one of your games, the raw data, which is mostly JSON and text, it's usually only a few megabytes, but the size is a function of what you put into your game. Yeah. So if you put a whole bunch of original artwork or videos or things like that, then it'll make the game much bigger, obviously.
And you also told me that you actually have card templates. If you decide to go
Yes.
card games, there's templates of board
Correct,
game
yes.
templates and all
So
that
remember,
stuff.
the output is a manual. And one of the interesting things is that manuals for a game manuals that are pen and paper, all you can do is text and images. But if you do a manual over the internet, you can have things like video and rich media, all kinds of things like that integrated. When you do a card game, our software has templates for you to define each card, for you to upload artwork, for you to generate rules and relationships between cards. You can set types, you can set limitations, and it'll put together a list of your cards and create a manual for that game.
And this is something I gotta have to see, like, to believe.
So there's a demo.
Oh, there's a demo. That's right.
Yes, it's not complete. It doesn't have all of the features yet. That's why we're doing Kickstarter. We need to recruit user interface developers to help us make it usable. Right now it's all command line text, but there is a demo on the site which will give you a general sense of what the software does.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. I mean, this is amazing, information specifically for game creators. Now, game players, okay, I understand you can get a little geeky, and we're kind of like,
if you have ideas, go for it. That's the idea. If you have an idea for a game, whether you're a player or a creator, we want to blur those lines. Everyone should be able to create on their own, and that's the idea here.
Well, John, thank you for your time. I mean, this is really cool, and I think your Kickstarter has a lot of potential, and
I hope
hopefully
so.
you'll be able to ride the waves of success there.
Yeah.
You're going back to New York tonight, and man, I'm I don't envy that.
Yeah, it's freezing. The weather is much better here. I'll say that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we're here at Comikaze 2014. This is Mouse, and we're signing off. Peace.
All right. Peace.